So much for wrapping that for us. Joining me now, Representative Lloyd Doggett, a Democrat from Texas, the chair of the Ways and Means Health Subcommittee. Sir, with a welcome to you. How do you see this playing out? What are the big issues? What do you think can happen here?
Well, thanks, Alex. Great to be with you again. You know, I think probably the least worst alternative here would be for President Trump to go ahead and declare his fake emergency. This latest outburst about detention beds is just part of his continued bigotry and demonization of those who are trying to escape such horrible conditions in Central America. The detention bed issue has been on the Democratic agenda since last month, and it is about whether or not we're going to have more families held in prison, their children in prison with them now instead of torn apart, which is still a bad situation. So it is not only the waste of a wall that experts say is not needed, but it's the waste of money at hundreds of dollars per day to confine immigrant families in detention. It has nothing to do with violent criminals. There's not a Democrat in Congress who doesn't believe in detaining and prosecuting every violent criminal. It's hard to find one among the thousands of people that are seeking asylum here, but certainly there are some, and they should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. When the president has no case, when he has a phony claim of crisis, he always turns to his prejudice and his demonization of foreigners.
So you're thinking that he will declare a national emergency. You said that's the least worst of the options there. Does that mean you do not believe that they're going to be able to come to a deal, to an agreement?
Well, you know, he condemned this effort, including the Republicans who were participating, as a waste of time from the beginning and repeated it. I hope they can come up with something. I saw the suffering of so many families from the last shutdown. You know, I think this is so outlandish. A president who shuts down his own government, who twists and turns. If it had been a movie script, no one would have bought it. It's so outrageous.
What do you think about a continuing resolution as suggested by Lindsey Graham?
So often that is what happens, that you just push it down another few days, another few weeks. Not a good solution, but certainly better than a government shutdown.
And if the president does declare a national emergency, does he get started on building that border wall? I mean, how long would that take?
I think there'll be action in court immediately, but at least instead of just blaming immigrants, he can blame the courts and blame Democrats. He's in the blame game. I don't think he really would want to resolve this anyway. What he wants is a continual fight where the sole issue is his efforts to protect us from a crisis and an invasion that doesn't exist. Not terrorists, not criminals invading our country, but families that are trying to escape criminals and terrorists. What you would do for your family if you thought your children were about to be attacked or forced into gangs.
As you're well aware, the president will be holding a rally in El Paso tomorrow. Data from the FBI shows that the president was wrong when he claimed during the State of the Union address that violent crime in El Paso was extremely high until a border fence was built. Can you share the reality on the ground there in Texas and what the effect of the president's misinformation has had on your district, which I know, sir, includes parts of San Antonio and Austin? Has it done anything to hurt the businesses in the district? I mean, kind of a fear-mongering. People are thinking, well, I don't know if I should go there.
Well, of course, he had an amazing wall in San Antonio that he said made San Antonio safer, and we haven't been able to find that wall since he announced that. El Paso is very close to our family. My wife's hometown is El Paso. So many of our friends and family are there. Dynamic new Congresswoman Veronica Escobar and Senator Rodriguez, from whom you just heard. El Paso is a safe city. It's a community that's very tied to Juarez. I think the big problem the president will have there tomorrow is that even the difference that he had about his inaugural crowd and whether it was the greatest ever, the people of El Paso of all political stripes will turn out for the truth rally, not for Donald Trump. And it will be obvious that they don't like to see their community talked down when they've done so much to make it a safe and vibrant place in which to live. It does have some negative impact when you begin to interfere with employees legally moving back and forth across the border, and when we rely on commerce back and forth across that border. So What Trump has done is harmful to Texas. It's unfortunate that more Texas Republicans aren't speaking out against it.
May I ask you how Democrats move through the president's false narrative when he says Democrats are not for border security?
Well, he wants to continue making that claim. I think that we voted for more and more dollars for the border. We're spending more money on federal law enforcement at the border than we do on the rest of federal law enforcement. We have supported a number of measures and advocated a plan to address drug smuggling, which does remain a problem, by improving security at our ports of entry where those illegal drugs enter. I believe he goes there because he has nothing else to offer.
We thank you very much for your time, sir, and we will have you back to talk about your solutions to the prescription drug price issues that we have here in this country at another time. But in the meantime, Lloyd Doggett,
Look forward to it, Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you.